some of you might know what it's like to sit at home night after night in your sweats or your PJs with your glass of wine, scouring through Pinterest boards and fantasizing about this amazing ideal life that you'll have someday once you finally get your business off the ground and start making the kind of money you want to make, right? Our guest host today, Alicia Eccles, founder of Dream Girl Strategies, is here to share with us how you can enjoy your life now as if it were the dream life that you want. So Alicia, thank you so much for being with us today. Thanks so much for coming and hanging with us.
Thank you.
So nice to have you here. So tell us a bit about yourself. I know that you are a success coach for women entrepreneurs who are either just starting up a business or who are now focusing on growing their business, right?
Yeah, so I am a success coach over at dreamgirlstrategies.com. I help women turn their ordinary dreams into extraordinary realities. So really getting out of that dream world and making all of those dreams completely real for you.
That is amazing. I love the sound of that. So tell us, how did you get started? How did your entrepreneur journey start out, and how did you come up with this idea for Dream Girl Strategies?
Well, for me, starting a business was really a natural progression in my own self-development. I was in this long-term relationship for about 10 years, and at the end of that relationship, I realized in that heartbreak that not only had I become totally dependent on this one other person for all of my happiness, all of the big dreams in my life, but I had also become dependent on him financially. And so going through that heartbreak and really starting to build myself up over the years, I got really, really good at taking care of myself emotionally. And I realized that in order for me to have the financial independence piece that I really, really desired, I could not depend on anyone else being in charge of my money and when I would work and how much I was worth. So it was just completely natural for me to then say, well, I need to start a business. Even though I had no idea what sort of business I was going to start, I just knew that I had to become an entrepreneur just to take care of me fully.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I think so many women can, especially women, can relate to that, where, you kind of just, you may have been dependent on someone, maybe not, but, there's either a job that you are dependent on for, for your financial well-being, or another person, sometimes
Mhm.
even your parents or your family, especially when you're a younger entrepreneur. So how did you manage to make the shift from being financially dependent on something or someone else to deciding, I'm going to jump out there, start this business? And then what did that look like when you first started out?
Well, it wasn't like this overnight thing. Like I said, I just knew that I wanted to start a business, but I had no idea what type of business to start. I had no idea what I was actually qualified to do. I have a master's degree in public health, so I do research, which is always going to be working for someone else, basically. So I didn't know how I was going to translate all of those skills into an actual business. So I kind of bounced around with it. It was a secret for a long time because none of my friends were doing this really. Everyone was getting their PhDs and becoming professors or becoming doctors, becoming lawyers. And here I was, not wanting to take this traditional path at all. So I really had to kind of sneak under the cover of night to really figure out what I wanted to do. And I bounced around quite a bit. I spent a lot of time and money just experimenting with things and really finding my way. And I don't call it a waste of time now. At the time, it's just like, oh, I spent all this money and all this time doing this one thing, and that turned out not to be the thing for me. I've wasted so much. But now, I've learned so much through those experiences that I can now share with the people that I work with so that they don't have to go through it. And I think it was important for me to take that longer path to really figure things out for myself, because like I said, I had a lot of growing up to do a lot of really getting to know myself. So that was really where it started for me, was really being honest about who I was, what I truly desire, and what I really, really enjoy, and match that with what I was actually really good at doing.
Wow. Okay, so wait a minute. You said you started off your business in secret. What?
Yes.
How did you hide that from
So
people?
I
What
just
made
did,
you
I
have to?
did not tell a soul. I was actually, I was actually retaking the GRE, like everyone was kind of expecting me. That was the next logical step for me. I took the exam, and then I missed all of the deadlines, pretty much all of the deadlines to apply for PhD programs. Like I really didn't want this. And then I got an invitation to apply to a doctoral program. Even though the deadline had passed, I got an invitation. It was going to be completely paid for. All I had to do was hit submit. And the day that I was supposed to hit it, I woke up and just very, very clear in my head, I don't want this. So
Mm.
I didn't do it, and I really started to look into what it would mean to start a business, how to do that. And at first it was like, kind of like the typical things, really things that I could easily wrap my head around. And then once I started to practice talking about wanting to start a business with people I didn't know. So I met this woman, I met this woman in a bathroom, and we were talking, putting on lipstick, and she was telling me how she had her own business, and it was like, wow, that's what I want to do. I don't even know this woman's name. And she mentioned Marie Forleo to me, and she said, you should really look her up. So I started just watching her videos like every single Tuesday when they were released, and getting to know more and more people who are in that world, and seeing that there's this whole community of women out there who are already doing this. Like, what makes me so different from all of these other women that I couldn't do it? So then I started going to like networking events. But again, I didn't tell anyone where I was going. As far as everyone was concerned, I was like at a happy hour, or I was just not answering my phone for a little while. But I would kind of sneak out, and sometimes if I needed to, just use a whole different name, anything to really practice, because I was not there yet. I was not comfortable voicing that for myself yet, but I knew that I wanted it so badly. So I would I come up with little games that I can play with myself to get to where I need to go. So coming up with a whole new personality, a whole new name, and walking in there and just faking it just to see what it felt like
Oh my
really is what
goodness.
got me going. Yeah.
Alicia, that is insane.
Yeah.
Wow. So when did you finally open up and tell somebody, hey, you know what? I am an entrepreneur. I am starting my own business. When did you finally tell
Um,
someone?
it was real. I was dating this guy at the time, and we had just started dating. He was new to the U.S., and we were talking about what we did in our lives, whatever. And he was having a really bad day, and he didn't want to tell me why. And then he finally admitted that he had a business back home, and it was basically failing. And I was like, oh my God, I would give anything to have a business that was failing. Like, I just want to have a business. Like, how did you do that? And then he just got super excited. He's like, really? You want to have your own business? And he was just really shocked and he started asking me questions. Well, what do you want to do in this business? And I started to talk about what was really, really important for me, and what was really important for me to do in the world, what kind of impact I wanted to have. Even though I still had not hit what that business was going to look like, I knew what I wanted it to focus on, which is women's empowerment, creating that financial and emotional freedom so that they can make real changes in the world. And doing that, I started to talk more and more about it to other people. And then I had this random conversation with a former employer, and we were sitting, in my office, and he said, hey, have you ever thought about coaching? And I said, well, I don't like sports. Why would you even ever ask me that question? No, I don't want to be a coach. And he laughed at me, and he's like, Alicia, you already do it. You do it on my time. And he told me that. I went home and really started to look into it, and it was like, what? get paid for doing this? Like, this is a real thing that people actually do, and I was just so
That is
excited by
amazing.
that.
That's so
Yeah.
amazing. So, Dream Girl Strategies,
hmm
when did that come about? Because I know that you said it took you a little while to kind of get into the groove and figure out how exactly, what direction you were going to go in your business. So, how did Dream Girl Strategies come about?
Well, Dream Girl Strategies came about, like I said, it's really important for me to have a strong focus on women's empowerment and women really being able to take care of themselves. You know, they say you change the world of a girl, you change the whole world. When you educate a woman, you educate a girl, it really does. It impacts everyone around her. It impacts the men in her life and the women in her life, everyone. So I knew that that's where I wanted to be. And the idea for Dream Girl Strategies came about. I write in my journal all the time, like almost every day, like a 12-year-old, like Dear Diary. Like I write in it all of the time. And it was I was writing, and I had decided that I was going to write a book, about just my life. And part of one of the things I was writing about was the very first time that anyone, which was my ex in that very long-term relationship, called me his dream girl. And that was immediately followed by the pressure to be someone's dream girl. Like, and I
Oh,
started to
yeah.
do all of these things because I wanted to be this perfect woman, to be accepted and to be worthy. And then thinking about how over the last few years, I've really come to the realization that I've been really focusing on being my own dream girl and really taking care of myself and being everything that I need. Everything that I need is within me. So
Okay.
focusing on that, and then I had this idea that I wanted to have this dream girl business and really share all of the tools and strategies that I've learned over the years. So I went straight to City Hall and registered, my business name and bought the domain name and got a new email address. And like literally 2 hours later, I was like, that's the cheesiest thing I've ever heard of. Like, really? But I'm so happy that I took action immediately, because it's totally true. When you come up with something that really fits you and that just feels good in that moment, if you don't do it, you will talk yourself out of it.
I love that. That is the
Yeah.
coolest, craziest story. I love it. All right, so now you help women entrepreneurs who are either starting out or working on growing their business. So what are some of the misconceptions that you think women entrepreneurs have around what it takes to grow a business?
One of the big misconceptions that I run into a lot, like with my clients and even just on all of these different communities and boards, is this whole idea that you must sacrifice everything in your life if you're going to accomplish your dreams. Like, you have to give it all up. And people think that, well, if I'm going to have this business, I must quit my job today. I must go into deep, deep debt in order to buy every single program under the sun to make my business work. Like, they will start there, and that is not where you start. You don't start from this place of, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. You need to start from this really calm place of, what do you love? What do you value? What makes you happy? And do more of that right now. There's no waiting until you reach a certain status. Don't wait until you make the six figures in that first year. There are so many things that you have access to right now that are a part of that dream life that you've been imagining in your head, that you could just walk out the door and go have it right now. So
Wow.
really, I feel like that's where a lot of people stumble. They feel like they think there's not enough time, they don't have enough money, and they gotta they have to give up everything to make it work.
Yeah.
And you really don't have to. You can, but it is not a requirement, not at all.
And that was your experience starting out, right?
But when I decided, maybe it was around this time last year, and I knew that I was going to do this coaching business. I I thought that I had to cut out all of the other parts of my life that I really enjoy in order to put all of my time and all of my money on this new venture. So one of the things that's really important to me is dancing. I love, love, love going social dancing. You know, I was on a dance team at the time. We met twice a week. So I stopped going to that. It's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I stopped going social dancing. I gave up happy hour. I love happy hour. So I stopped going. I gave up happy hour. Like I would just go, oh no, I can't make it. I stopped dating. Like I just really was at home in front of my computer all of the time thinking I'll do that when. I'll do that as soon as. But I wasn't doing it right now, even though I could have, because what I actually did in sitting at home and not doing all of those things that I really love was I really was not making any ground whatsoever. I was just putting lots of time and money and going absolutely nowhere. Yeah. And when I finally decided that enough was enough, I have to figure out a way, and it really wasn't like, oh, I think there's a better way to do this. Like, I wasn't that smart to come up with that. It was just like, it was just more like, I really want to go dancing. I really want to go on a date. I really want to do these things. So it was like I kind of started to squeeze them in. And the more I started to do that, the better I became at managing my time. And the more strategic I became. And I started to think, oh my God, why am I not doing that for myself? Why am I not doing that in my business? And so I took like a weekend and really, and it doesn't, making your plan, it shouldn't be something that takes 5 or 10 minutes. Like if you're making a real strategic plan, it's going to take a little while to put all the pieces together. But if you put in that time now, it makes your life so much easier. So once I did that, and I really got strategic about how I wanted to build my business, what my vision truly was, I could see that I had so much room in my schedule, in my life, to really do the things that I love right now. And so that's what I did. And that's really just made all the difference in the world to me. Because now I'm having fun. I'm building my business. I'm going dancing. I'm dating. I'm going on happy hours. Like all of these things that I thought I had to give up, I have all of them back. And my business is actually moving forward now. And it wasn't before.
That's incredible. I love that. And that brings us to our sort of next part of this discussion, which is whether you're just starting out or have been in business for a while, what are some tips that entrepreneurs can use to actually live in reality but still love their lives while they're building their businesses and while they're, sort of creating the life of their dreams?
Well, the number one thing is getting really, really clear. You have to be 100% clear about what your vision is so that you're working from a place that you are truly, truly motivated from, and that you are creating the business of your dreams for all of the right reasons, not just for money, not just for the lifestyle, but for all of the right reasons. That's why everyone says to start with why. Don't stop there, though. Start with why and keep going. Don't just create this business of your dreams from your why. Create the vision of your entire life from your why. And really take your time doing that, putting in the time and the effort to create the big vision of your life. And then after you do that, you can start to really look at it and identify the things that you have access to right now. Now, for me, it was dancing. For you, it might be something else. Things that you could actually do right now. You don't have to wait. You just have to make some time in your schedule to do it. And making time in your schedule, really just taking time, demanding the time, making it non-negotiable. I'm going to do this, even if it's only for 10 minutes a day. So starting with your why, getting super, super clear about that, and then identifying the places that you already have access to. Then when you find those gaps, when you're like, well, I'm not quite there yet, that's when you need to be strategic. How are you going to get there? And how are you going to get there now? Not when your business takes off. How are you going to get there now? Travel is really important to me. I love traveling. I love going places. But then I was like, well, I like traveling in general. I don't need to go abroad for me to have a great time. I have a great time if I go to the next town over. So why am I not getting, I'm not a native to California. Why am I not exploring all of California? I have a car. I can do that right now. I don't have to wait until my business takes off. So really get real with yourself and don't tell yourself these lies that I can't do that right now. I can't afford to travel. Yes, you can. You just need to make it happen. So those are like my top 3 things of doing this. So first, get super, super clear. Identify the things that you can do right now, and then identify the gaps and strategically plan and invest in those gaps so that you can make it happen right now.
Alicia, that is such incredible advice. And, first of all, you and I have so much in common.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you have to start somewhere. You can't always get to, the big grandiose idea, that you have in your mind. You don't usually just make that leap. So there are a few steps in between, and if you think about, sort of whether you're thinking backwards or just sort of looking ahead and figuring out what the next logical step needs to be to get towards what you want, even if you don't know, you can ask someone, look at someone who is living the kind of life that you want, or
again, make it a game. Like for me, it's always works to make it a game. I'll do little things every now and then just because I'll go, this is going to be a great story. Just really fun little anecdotes, and then I'll think, well, I can do that right now, because then that makes me feel like if I'm living out that little anecdote that's on the journey to where I want to go, that makes it feel like where I'm going it's destiny. It's already going to happen. Most of us don't go in this world of being an entrepreneur and wanting to start a business because we want to be more serious than we already are. That's usually not our goal. We're doing it because we want to have more fun. So have more fun now. Figure out ways to have more fun right now.
That's such great advice. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
How can we stay connected with you and learn more about what you're doing and what you're working on?
We can always find me on dreamgirlstrategies.com. And right now I have my free little workbook that does help you to get really closer to figuring out what your why is and working from there. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I have not quite figured out Twitter just yet, but I'm working on it. So eventually I will also be on Twitter.
All right. Well, we will absolutely be staying in touch with you and seeing all the awesome things that you are doing. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. As usual, it is always a pleasure having you here, and look forward to seeing you again next week on an all-new session of RM Truth Live. If you want to continue the conversation, you can visit rm-harrison.com/start here. Find out how you can join the community so that we can keep this discussion going for the rest of the week. Doesn't that sound awesome? So again, thank you so much for joining. Alicia, it's been so wonderful having you here. I hope you will come back and guest host with us again soon. It's so much fun talking to you.
It's so much fun being here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So have a good night, everyone, and I'll see you next week.